We are so excited that you are here for becoming a thought leader in your field and why it's important for your personal brand. So I just want to kickstart and say, this is something that I wish I had years ago in guidance around thought leadership, what it is, because I feel like it's this buzzy word these days. But what actually does that mean, and how do you get better at it? Like everything else, we have to work and practice and train ourselves to do something and create positive habits. So thought leadership and developing a personal brand is so important. Whether you run your own business, whether you're working at a company, whether you're trying to pivot into owning your own business or moving jobs, or just trying to elevate the current work that you do, and becoming a thought leader in your field. So with that said, if we have not met before, I'm Dana Snyder, and I'm so excited that you're here. I live in Atlanta. I have lived all over the United States, and I founded my business Positive Equation in 2017, so nearly 5 years, which is bananas. And I really focus on equipping social impact leaders like yourselves with the digital tools that you need to succeed. So I really focus in the digital marketing, social media landscape. And just a fun fact, I love to travel. So 30,000 feet in the air heading somewhere new is my favorite place to be, with, surprise, surprise, a glass of Cabernet. So I am overjoyed to have Bree with me here. Bree was with me at the very beginning. She helped create the Positive Equation logo that you all know and love and see today, which is just mind-boggling to where things have evolved. Since I was like sitting on my bed trying to fill out her amazing questionnaire that she sends when you're trying to develop a logo and a brand voice and all the things. So she's been through it all. And I wanted to partner with someone who has also, is a female entrepreneur, but understand what it's like to work really hard in being a thought leader in your field in order to generate business, to build relationships, all of the things. And so without further ado, I'm going to let Bree introduce herself shortly. But this is a teaser into Missions to Movements, which is my 6-month long program mastermind community that will kick off in January. I joined a mastermind this year in January, and it has blown my mind. Mine's a year long. I have a picture at the end with the women that I'm in a group with. And this mastermind, Missions to Movements, is literally, it's curated for you. So it's application based. It's going to be for women, solely women. My first one that I am currently still in and wrapping up with a group was a mixed group focused specifically on the nonprofit industry. This one's going to be for emerging leaders in the for-profit and nonprofit space, because I think there's so much that we can learn from together. And I'll talk more about this in the end, but essentially this is a precursor. So Bree is someone that will probably be a guest coach that will come back for the mastermind and hopefully to the in-person retreat in Atlanta. So this is just a couple reviews from past participants of my current mastermind that I'm running. Gives you an idea of who's been in it, text messages that I've received that just like literally make my day. All of the sessions are curated based upon the goals that you specifically have. So tonight's session would normally not be 90 plus people, but would be 10 maybe, and we'd all be on a screen seeing each other, able to have an interactive conversation. So set up a little bit differently. But with that, I'll talk more about that at the end if you're interested, but let's go ahead and dive into today's topic. Bree, take it away.
Cool, thanks. I'm going to make my part super quick because we have a lot to cover tonight, and I'm really, really excited and honored to be here with Dana. So I'm Bree Ramos, if we haven't met yet. I am the founder and creative director over at the Buzz brand. We build and manage brands. So I founded the company 7 years ago, 2014. And branding is something I'm super, super, super passionate about, which I'll talk about throughout our presentation tonight. So I really feel like we've all been given a unique set of talents, skills, and abilities. And it's absolutely my mission to help people and businesses discover what that is And after you discover it, it's really important that you share it with the world. And that's where the marketing part comes in. And so that's what I'm wired to do. That's what I feel like I'm put on this earth to do. And so I've been able to do that throughout all different seasons in my life. And I'm in a really, really fun, unique one right now, which I'm excited to share about. So, and I'm also a mom. This is my constant chaos all the time. So I was trying to find like a nice like family photo to share with you guys. And this is our daughter, Camilla. She turns 3 in 2 weeks. Our 3 dogs, and LT, who his head is not cropped in this photo. This is the picture and this is just our constant chaos all the time. So you can find me on my personal Instagram, on our BuzzBrand Instagram, or on our website. So you guys are here to learn about thought leadership. So I wanted to start out with what is a thought leader, because there's so much information out there about thought leadership and what a thought leader is. And so I really wanted to just start by like breaking it down for you. And I want to see in the poll kind of where people are at. So we asked, are you just getting started or are you already on your way? And we've got a lot of people on here who are just getting started. We have a decent amount of people on here who are already on your way. So I hope tonight this information is valuable to you no matter where you're at in your journey. So I really tried to come up with information that would apply to you no matter where you're at on your journey. So here we go. There's a lot to break down in here. And when I was trying to come up with the definition of what a thought leader is, I could not come up with one that was like super concise and to the point. And so I want to break down each one of these things here. So thought leaders are more than just experts in their field. As a thought leader, you are absolutely an expert in your field, but there's a little bit of a difference. Experts in their field can share information and not necessarily be a thought leader. They can be a leader in their field and they can be an expert in their field. And you all are either already an expert in your field or trying to become an expert in your field. And that's absolutely kind of like the first step when you're working on becoming a thought leader. But a thought leader is more than just an expert in their field. They cause you to think differently. They challenge your mindset and are agents of change. The agents of change part here is really important, and I really want you to note it. So thought leaders drive action, and that's where that agent of change comes in. So I'm going to break down kind of the difference between a leader and a thought leader, and that action part is really, really important. They're informed opinion leaders. So as a thought leader, you're going to know a lot as being an expert in your field, but being an informed opinion leader is extremely important. You need to hear the other side of the coin. You need to be very well versed in all the different angles and topics and things in your field. It's important to listen to other people's opinions. It's important to be able to analyze it from different angles. And so being an informed opinion leader is really, really important. It's not just your side of things. It's having a really well-rounded just idea of what's going on in your industry. Thought leaders take an innovative approach to thinking. They think different. They analyze things differently. They view things a little bit differently. And they push things forward with the way that they think, which we're going to break down a little bit more. Thought leaders often lead movements, create systems, or inspire change. Again, that's that action piece. And so with creating systems, we're going to talk about that a little bit. But this gives you a little bit of an idea of all the different things that are kind of encompassed with being a thought leader. So there's a difference between being a leader and being a thought leader. And please chime in too if you guys want to add something to the chat. Pop in. So we definitely want this to be interactive. I don't want to just be talking to you guys the whole time. Also, every time I say thought leader, you have to take a drink of whatever you're drinking. No, I'm just kidding. But hold on, I need some water. Okay. The difference between a leader and a thought leader. A leader is one to many. A thought leader is many to many. And this is what we mean by that. One to many, which that should be TO, one to many, they follow you. So as a leader, to be a leader, there's one piece of criteria: you have to have followers. There's other things that go along with it, but to be a leader, you have to have followers. As a thought leader, it's not just listen to me. It's listen to me and expand on what I'm saying. Build on my idea, build on my theory, and share it well. You want people to be able to take the things that you're talking about, take the system that you've created, take the idea that you have stirring inside you and simplify it so that they don't just listen to it, but that they can grasp onto it and share it with their tribe. That they can hear you speak about something and connect with it and go and share it with the world or share it with their people or carry your word on. And that's how you really expand your reach and expand your points. It's not just as a leader, people following you, it's really helping shape their minds and allowing people to be able to re-communicate what it is that you're sharing. So why is all this important to your personal brand? Okay, so before we talk about why it's important to your personal brand, I want to break down just real quick my favorite definition of what a personal brand is, what a brand is in general, because I feel like that term sometimes kind of gets muddled or confused. And so my absolute favorite definition of what a brand is or what a personal brand is Amazon Jeff Bezos. He said, your brand is what other people say about you when you're not in the room. So regardless if you've just started or if you're well on your way on your journey, people have a perception of you. And this is something really important to consider if you're in a transition. So maybe you were in one field and you're transitioning to another, or maybe you worked at a nonprofit and now you want to start your own. People have a perception of you and people have a perception of what you do. And the great thing about branding is we can help shape that perception and lead them to think certain things about us. But regardless if you've tried that with effort or not, people have a perception of you and think about you in a certain way. So whether you are kind of in that transition, it's really, or well on your way, like I said, it's really important to know that people already have a perception of you. So it's up to you to help kind of guide that perception as you are creating your personal brand. The reasons why I feel like it's important to your personal brand is the first thing is legacy. And I talk about legacy a lot, and legacy is something that's really important to me. And there's kind of 2 points that I want to make here with legacy. So first, with legacy, you likely want to leave a legacy for your family, for your company, for the thing that you've created, for the thing that you've poured your heart into, for the mission that you've dedicated your life to. You want to leave a legacy. The flip side of that is with thought leadership, something really important to grasp onto is that it's not about you. It's about them. It's about the movement that you're trying to create. It's about the change that you're trying to create in the world. It's about the people that you're trying to influence. So as much as sometimes we want to create our own legacy, it is like my hope that you can really shift your mindset to know that it's not all about you. It is really about the legacy that you're leaving to impact and influence others and to contribute something important to the world. And we all have something to contribute, and fear gets in the way sometimes and doubt gets in the way sometimes, but everybody on this call has something to contribute to the world. And I'm so proud of you for even being on here to learn more and to grow yourself, because whatever it is that you have or whatever dream you've been sitting on or whatever dream you're moving on right now, it's something that's been instilled in you for a reason. And you have an obligation to share that with the world. You have an obligation as a citizen in society. We have an obligation to give back to the communities that we're a part of. And only you have, even if there's other people in your field that do what you do, nobody does it like you do. And nobody has been instilled with the certain thoughts and ideas that you have, and nobody has the specific sphere of influence that you have. So a lot of times I hear from people that they're like, well, the market's already tapped, or so-and-so already does that here in my market, or whatever it is. You have to get that out of your head. You have something specific to share. And I really want people to hold on to that and to remember that. So don't let competition get in your way. Don't let doubt get in your way. Don't let, well, I haven't started yet and I wish I would have started. Don't let any of that get in your way. You have something to share and the world needs whatever it is that you have. Flexibility in your career, you know, maybe like I said, you're in a transition. Like me, I'm going from doing the day-to-day stuff of running our agency to transitioning into different things like coaching and becoming a consultant. So instead of running people's marketing, I'm working with their teams and walking them through how to do it, and then their team executes it. And so as you're becoming a thought leader and developing your personal brand, it really gives you flexibility in your career, and you don't get stuck in the same kind of day-to-day routine, and it allows you to level up and shift and make lateral moves and move up and down in your career. And so that's something really important to have flexibility in your career, because whatever it is that you're doing, hopefully it's something that you love. And even if you're passionate about it and love it, sometimes it can get just a little mundane and you need a shift. So it still has the same heartbeat, but you want to execute it in a little bit of a different way. Becoming a thought leader and developing your personal brand leads to different opportunities. It could lead you to serving on a board. It could lead you to consulting. It could lead you to speaking. It could lead you to all different things. And so these are just a couple of points of why, as you become an expert in your field and then you develop yourself into a thought leader, why these things are important to your personal brand. Okay, this is the number one thing you must do. If you take one thing away tonight, I hope that it's this. The number one thing you must do in order to become a thought leader in your field is be consistent. You have to be consistent in your content, which we'll break down. You have to be consistent in your stance. You have to be consistent in your collaborations, and you have to be consistent in your learning. We're going to talk about most of these things, but the bottom one is one that I want to start with here. Learning. You have to fall in love with learning. If you're passionate about what you're doing, that's probably not an issue, but there's fields change so much and industries change so much, especially like in marketing and things like that. And I know Dana can speak into that. Things are constantly changing. And so you have to be on board to be a lifelong learner. Attend seminars, go different places, learn from different people, read all the books, listen to the podcasts. One of my favorite ways, like a very attainable way to like stay up to date with what's happening in your field, is to set a Google alert. And it's really easy. If you just go and Google alerts, you can set different keywords or phrases, and Google will send you an email when there's an update in the area within that field or within those keywords. And then you can kind of just like stay on top of what the buzz that's happening around those different things. And that's a really easy way to kind of stay up to date on a weekly basis of what's happening in your field. And then those also give you really good opportunities to either turn that into content or to repost it or to share the article that was written about it, or to look at it and analyze it and then give your thought on it. And so those Google alerts is something really easy to do to kind of stay up to date on what's happening in your field.
I love this. You can also get updates if you want to, like, you can put a notification on Instagram if there's somebody that you follow or a platform, so that you always get their posts in your feed. You can do the same thing on Facebook if that's your jam, or following people on LinkedIn. My mastermind has been like a great wealth of knowledge for this, because there's like 12 of us in the group. And so everyone brings, if I have a question about something, somebody's going to know something about it. And if we don't, then our leader in the group is going to go find somebody that does. So I love that you put learning on there. I think that's spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, the number 2 thing you must do. Crush the doubt. I know, okay, so we had some really funny gifts in here, but they're not going to play because we're in presentation mode. So this is a Ted Lasso gift, and I love my little Keely, but you have to crush the doubt. I know sometimes there's a lot of people in here that are just getting started, and you're going to have those times where you're like, oh my gosh, like, am I qualified? I don't know what to talk about. Are people going to trust me? You have to crush the doubt, and you have to believe in yourself, and you have to hang on to that passion and that hope and that obligation that you have to share your knowledge and to give back to the world and to share the gift that you have. So crush the doubt. If you start feeling overwhelmed or that you're not qualified, you are. So just remember that. Crush the doubt when it comes to the really, really scary moments, because you're going to have them. Okay, so what should you be talking about as a thought leader? You might be thinking like, yeah, I know, like I want to be a thought leader, or I'm already an expert in my field. So like, what should I be talking about? Well, this is also a really funny GIF. What are you passionate about? So that's a really easy place to start. So what gets you out of bed in the morning? What could you have a conversation about and talk about all day long? What really stirs your heart and moves you and drives what you're doing every single day? Or what do you want it to be? You may be in a transition right now to where you don't feel that way about your job or something that you're doing, but you have a passion, or you have a side hustle, or you have something that you've been thinking about, that you've been wanting to do. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's starting your company. Maybe
Drop
it's
these in the chat. I would love to hear these.
I would love to hear them. So tell us what you're passionate about. Tell us what stirs you. Tell us what you're excited about, or the field that you're in. And I always like to start with the end in mind. How do you want to be remembered? So whether it's at your funeral or whether it's at the end of your career, I teach this lesson called your life sentence. And when you pass and you're at your funeral, you get your entire life is recapped. And, Bree was, an outstanding wife and mother and loved the Lord and really dedicated herself to, leadership and cultural change. And like, that's it. That's all you get. You get like a sentence. So what do you want your life sentence to be, and how do you want to be remembered? And that could be applied to, you attend a conference. It doesn't have to be your entire career or your entire life, but like you're meeting people and you want to connect. How are people going to remember you? And then the other way, kind of as you're figuring out like what your topics are and what you want to talk about, imagine the world that you want. So maybe you want a world where, children with special needs, say you are working with parents of students with special needs, and you wish there was a world where parents had the resources and the connections and the support and help and knowledge to raise their child with special needs. Create that world. Help create those resources, drive that passion, and use that heart and focus to create the world that you want. So when you're trying to figure out like what your topics are and the things that you'll focus on, and this is a career-long thing. This isn't like, okay, great, I attended this seminar and I've got steps 1, 2, and 3, and now I'm ready to be a thought leader. These are just things for you guys to start thinking about, or if you're already on your journey, to go, okay, where am I at and how can I make a shift and what's my next step? So as you're trying to figure these topics out, or what you should talk about or how you should approach them, as a thought leader, you want to give insight on a topic. So again, this is the shift of just being an expert in your field and sharing tips and tricks and how to do things and steps 1, 2, and 3. There's a difference in being an expert in your field and giving actual insights on a specific topic. You want, as a thought leader, to stretch people's minds and encourage them to think differently. You don't want to just tell them something or tell them what to do. Challenge them, make them think, make them really wrestle around with the things that you're talking about. And you want to go deep on a few topics. You want to be well-versed in several different things in your industry, but really think about what are the couple of things that you want to really drive home and you really want to go deep on, and figure those out and just do a very deep dive on those couple of topics. So this is where it starts to shift a little bit. If you are already an expert in your field and kind of well on your way, this is where you can kind of start to refine. If people already know that you're an expert in your field, this is where you can start to refine it and maybe start to create systems or write a book or narrow down what those general topics are, because you've probably spent the last couple of years establishing yourself as an expert in your field and talking about all the different types of things in your field. So now, depending on where you're at, and you kind of have to do that first. So depending on where you're at in your journey, that deep dive on a few topics is when you can kind of start to narrow it down. This next one, think for yourself. Give your expertise, analyze. So there's a lot of information out there that you can read, that you can share, that you can see what other people are talking about. You can look at industry news. But I want to challenge you, thought leaders, they come up with the concepts. They analyze the things that are already out there and think about things a little bit differently. So create your own level of expertise, give your own opinion on things. It's really easy to kind of look to see what's already out there and to expand on that, which there's nothing wrong with that. But as a thought leader, you want to be the one creating those type of conversations, if that makes sense. If you're like, okay, well, I'm still not sure, or I'm just getting started, a tip is just ask people and pay attention to what's going on. And the pay attention to what's going on is the alerts that you can set, is just the industry news and what's going on. Ask people. If your target audience, which we'll talk about, is I don't know, stay-at-home moms or something like that, ask them, put a poll out, call your friends, see the type of information that they want to know, and then start talking about it. You want to identify the questions that people have. You want to fill a need in your industry or in the market. And so figure out what that need is. Figure out what people want the answers to, or what nobody's really talking about yet, and start those conversations and be bold in the things that you're talking about. This next one, create a system that's scalable. This is if you're a little bit further along on your journey, and we're not gonna dive super deep into this tonight. But creating a system, say you've been an expert in your field for however long, and you're ready to help people create what you have done and replicate it for their people. You can start to create a system that's scalable. And then there's a whole nother side to thought leadership, which again, we'll dive more into in the mastermind, but not quite tonight, of how to scale your knowledge and how then to partner with other people and journalists and people in your industry, people outside of your industry, to really rally behind you and to push and support you in, if it's a system, if it's a book, whatever it may be that you created as a thought leader using your expertise.
It looks like we might have lost Bree. Oh, did we lose me too? Let's see. Yep, Bree, we lost you. And she's back.
Sorry. And I'm back. I hit pause instead of the next slide. Sorry, guys. One sec.
Maybe the martini will set you on the right track.
Yeah, it'll get me right back on track. Okay, so this is an action item, and drop it in the chat. I would really love to know, and I'm going to catch up here. I haven't really been paying attention to the chat, but what I want you guys to think here, and this is kind of I'm going to give you guys some action steps for tonight, because I want this to be, I want you guys to work through this tonight and to be thinking tonight. So what could some of your topics or systems be? If you're just getting started, what are the things that you could be focusing on and talking about? What is it that you're passionate about? If you're already kind of far along on your journey, what could your potential system be, or what could your potential method that you create be? And did people respond on the different things that they're passionate about? I think I saw
on this topic too, something else that you could write down is like, what are you really good at? Are you good in communicating? Are you a good writer? Are you good on video? Because I know I love video content. So I'm leaning in my thought leadership to YouTube, and I'm exploring that avenue, versus I don't love writing. So I'm not like actively a big blogger and doing these long LinkedIn articles. Like, that's just not my jam. But that's another great way to do it. So like, I'm taking a video approach. So like for me, her system, and she's talking about by system, do you mean like what we're offering?
Well, okay. So, and this could be, and it kind of depends on where you're at in your journey. So, for example, like Dana has created an entire system for nonprofits and their social media. And so she has a whole course. So, yeah, it could be a course, it could be a book, it could be a white paper, it could be, it could be a mini series, something that you take your knowledge and create something that's replicable. So, you're an expert in the field of XYZ. This is how you've done it all these years, and now you're sharing that information with people. What is your system that you've created to share? And you may not be that far along in your journey yet, but that's something that you could work towards.
Yeah. So for me, like I focus really hard on digital marketing. So I learn and I dive super deep into that topic. So like when we're grown women, all the shit happens with Facebook and the shareholders and like it goes down.
Yep.
I'm reading about it. I'm learning about it. I'm forming my own opinion. And then like earlier today, I just did a webinar and my first slide was an elephant on the page. And I was like, let's talk about the elephant in the room when we're talking about Facebook and Instagram. And so I gave my opinion. Oh, Cynthia, you're so sweet.
Yeah, you're
But yeah,
absolutely right,
everyone has
Cynthia.
like
She has a
Megan,
gift
I'm
for
good at
it.
leadership. Like I love that. So you have a unique
Yeah.
story, experiences that you can build. Okay, this is amazing. It's leadership's one of the things on there. That you can lean into, Megan, to like tell your unique story. Kristen, I'm good at organization. Yeah, I get that.
We like Kristen, like at a house or like in
I can't do
business?
either.
What
So
type of organization? Like, yeah. Oh, that is seriously, Kristen, that is a gift. Organization is a gift. It's not one that I have. So bless you. I've started to like organize my fridge. I've started to organize my pantry. I organize my desktop.
Cindy's good at follow up.
Like 3 months.
That is huge. That's huge.
Really good. I just gave examples. This next slide was just me giving, because I know examples kind of help sometimes. And so, like for me, I love to talk about identity and developing your personal brand or your professional brand. I love to talk about leadership and I love to talk about cultural change. And so those are topics that I like to talk about. And I eventually want to work towards creating a system or a course or whatever it may be on these specific things. So like for me, I'm just giving an example of the things, my topics that I generally talk on or speak on or am asked to speak on. These are just more examples. Maybe you're an advocate, and I said this one earlier, for special needs children. Maybe as a thought leader, you want to be an expert in nonprofit or church development. Maybe you want to position yourself as a leader in business strategy, changing the education system, parenting relationships, the political climate, health and wellness. These are just examples to kind of like jog your mind on as you kind of start to refine your brand or your offerings or how you want to position yourself as a thought leader. So if any of these are ones that kind of appeal to you, yeah, business strategy, I would love to know. Okay, so now we've talked about what should you be talking about now. This next part is who should you be talking to and where should you be talking about things. So we kind of talked about the content piece, and now this is about your audience. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'm already an expert in my field, or I want to be an expert in my field. Who's going to listen to me? Who do I want to talk to, right? So I want to talk about your target audience, and I'm going to give an example just kind of mine. And so with clients, we do a very deep dive into their, and I know Dana can really speak into audiences and actually like specifically targeting with like social media and ads and things like that. And so doing this at the very beginning, defining your audience, is really important, because it's not only going to help you shape your content, but when you really get into the marketing piece of things and you talk about paid advertising and stuff like that, it's really going to help you streamline that and be able to create ads and target very specifically on social media and things like that. So, and this is just kind of a working piece. So, who is your target audience? Look at their gender. What is their age? What are they interested in? What are their frustrations? What are their needs? What are their wants? So I'll break this down a little bit, and this is just an example of mine. Yes, Nikki will send it. Don't worry. Okay, gender. Like ours is, I normally lean heavily female in mind, but as I'm growing older and farther along in my career, my target audience really is male and female, or all genders, I'd like to say. And really kind of that age 25 to 45, I'd say I lean heavy kind of into like the late 20s into their 30s. That's kind of my target audience that I think I appeal most to. They are interested in leadership and in business generally. Some of their frustrations are they might have a fear of what's next. They have confusion. They have doubt over if they're in a transition from careers or what to do next. Figuring out their frustration, needs, and wants is really important because that will also help you figure out what your content is. So when you're figuring out who your target audience is, and again, like when we do this with clients, we do a deep dive into this because it's a really important first part of identifying your target audience and creating content around it. But when you talk about their frustrations and their needs, with the needs and wants, this is a really easy way to start creating content behind it. When you know what your target audience needs, you can start talking about it and you can start creating content. You can start creating resources. Something really important when you're creating content is you want to, and especially as a thought leader, when you are farther along on your journey, you want to like ditch the pitch. You're not trying to sell what you're doing. You want to add value to people. You want to just give them free information. You want to grow. And really the easiest way to like thought leadership, you lead people in the way that they think, in their thoughts. That's like one of the simplest ways to think about it. So when you know what their frustrations are, when you know what their needs are, and when you know what their wants are, it's really easy to start doing that and to provide them with information that's valuable, that they can hang on to, that they want more of, that they can digest easily. And so with mine, some of their wants, they want to make a lasting impact and create change, leaving the world better than they found it. And that's probably a lot of you guys. You guys want to make a lasting impact. You want to create change. You want to help people. And that's why you joined us tonight. So when you're thinking about your target audience, these are just really important kind of things to start with. And then you can go deeper and deeper. A little tip, give them a name, give them an actual avatar, name them. You probably will have a few. So something important is as you don't want to just talk to anybody. You do want to appeal to the masses, but still in a very defined way with a target audience. And so you may have more than one target audience. You may have a female, you may have a young female, and give her a name. So when you're creating content, you go, okay, is this something that Sally would want to hear or need information on? So give her a fun name. And when you're, and again, like you'll probably have more than one. So if you're in like business leadership or something like that, you may need to appeal to the consumer, but then you also may need to appeal to the executive who's making decisions, or to the person that you need to get on board with, to the decision maker in the company. So you kind of have two different avenues when you're creating content, or when you're trying to figure out, what your offering is, or the things that you're talking about. So creating these creating these little fake people of who your target audience is a really, really, really important piece. So this is something that you have to do either as you're getting started, or if you're already on your journey, take a look back at it. If you already know what your target audience is, what's your next target audience? Say you're ready to write a book, or you're ready to release a course. That target audience is probably going to be a little bit different and a little bit more targeted than the original audience that you started out with. So these target audiences are kind of always evolving.
If you guys want to, I'm just going to put in the chat my, yeah, the psychographics are really important. Yeah. So I have a list of, I think I have like 15 questions that helps you really break down an individual person. I can DM those questions for you to answer for yourself if you want, of your target audience. Specifically what you were saying, give them a name. So it's asking like, What social channels do they use? What do they do on
Yeah.
the weekends? It's figuring out literally
Mm-hmm.
the individual person so that you're speaking directly to them. So this is really, really important.
Yep. Again, another really great Ted Lasso gift that we're missing out on. So now that you've figured out what you're talking about, who you're talking to, where should you be sharing your thoughts? Where should you be sharing this information? Whether it's you're just getting started and you kind of just need to let people know what you're doing, or you're already farther along on your journey and you're really ready to make that shift into becoming a thought leader, where should you be sharing your information? I want to say everywhere, but I don't want to overwhelm you. So, and Dana, please speak into this. Okay, with social media, I would say that is your bare bones. That is where I know a lot of people feel like social media is sometimes, and I absolutely get to this point all the time, where it's just like overwhelming and it's too much. And sometimes it's just like yucky and you just don't even want to deal with it. The flip side of that is we live in a day and age right now where the opportunity that social media gives us to make an impact on the world and to share our gifts, we live in a time where that was just not ever available to the generations before us. And sometimes it's crazy to think about. Like, an example that I love to use is when Martin Luther King gave his I Have a Dream speech. If you look at those pictures, the entire memorial was filled shoulder to shoulder with people. And there was no Facebook back then. There was no social media. And he rallied thousands of people to that place to listen to him speak and to share his thoughts. And I'm always like so blown away by that. We have social media where we can just get on there and announce and target people and pay for people to see our stuff. We have the opportunity with social media, when you can get past the hard part about it. Sometimes social media really gives you the opportunity that just generations before us have really never had. And so if you're able to use it correctly and you're able to use it responsibly and you're able to use it to create change and to share things in a positive way, it can really be something beautiful. So when it comes to social media, it's like, okay, where do I need to be on? Do I need to be on Facebook? Do I need to be on LinkedIn? Do I need to be on Twitter? Do I need to be on Instagram? Do I need to create a TikTok? I don't know how to create it well. No, pick a platform to start out. Pick a platform. Be on that platform. Where is your audience at? If they're not on Twitter, don't spend your time on Twitter. If they're on Instagram, pour everything you've got into Instagram. If their video is something that everybody just kind of has to get on board with. So if that's the direction that things are moving, and people's attention spans are just getting shorter and shorter. And so if they can watch a quick video, it's way easier than like reading a blog or something like that. So pick a platform and focus on that, and then just slowly build. Add another one, and then add another one, and then add another one. Podcasts. Do you want to start a podcast? Do you want to be on podcasts? Do you want to co-host a podcast? Conferences and retreats. Attend a conference, host a retreat, host a conference, speak at a conference, help co-host a retreat and lead something that's really valuable to people. Webinars, seminars, trainings, same type of thing. Blogs and vlogs. A vlog, if you don't know, is a video blog where you're just talking and record. You can do it on YouTube. You can post it to your website. Collaborations, host your own or say yes. If you're not at a point where you're like, yeah, I would love to collaborate with people, but like, how do I get people to like want to collaborate with me? If you're not at that point yet, that's okay. Host your own collaboration. Say, hey, do you want to do this with me? Hey, do you want to host a conversation about this? And just start hosting your own collaborations, or interview people who are already experts in the field, in the field that you're in, and just record it. They're really doing a lot of the talking, and you can just help guide the conversation and add that value to your audience. Collaborations are, and that's one of the points that I made. Consistency in collaborations is so important, because collaborations really help expand your influence and reach audiences that you don't yet aren't a part of. And so collaborations, I think, are so key and important when you're becoming an expert in your field and you're becoming a thought leader. The write a book part, if you're already far along on your journey and you've already identified yourself as an expert in the field and you're ready to kind of move on to that next step, write a book, create a course, do something to where you can start to share that knowledge in a really concise way where people can replicate it and share it with their tribes and share it with their people. Last thing to close us out tonight, this is just a little bit of goal setting. So I know tonight was a lot of information, but these are the things that I really want to challenge you guys to think about. And I have the word date next to it. So like I said, this is a long journey. This is not like a quick overnight thing. So think about who is your target audience and set a date for that. So maybe it's in a week from now, maybe it's in 2 weeks from now, but really think about your target audience and who you want to appeal to and who could really benefit and that you could add value to. And then set another date. What are you going to talk about? Figure out what your content is, figure out the topics that you're going to talk about and start to narrow those things down. And then figure out, this one's really big and this one might take a little bit longer because after you figure out who your target audience is, what you're going to talk about, where you're going to talk about it. Say you choose YouTube or a podcast, that takes production time. And so depending kind of where you're at in your journey, after you kind of figure out where you're going to talk about things, there might be some production that, is added on after that. And then a little bonus goal, set a collaboration. I really want to challenge you guys to set a collaboration with somebody, whether it's hosting a conversation like this or going live on Instagram with them and then just asking them questions. Who cares if 2 people are on it? You can save that content and use it over and over. It's just going to get you comfortable talking in front of people and expanding your influence by collaborating with an audience that you may not be a part of yet. So this one is cheering that you're the MVP. And so thank you guys so much. You can do this. Crush the doubt. Be consistent in the things that you're working on. And just remember that you have something to share with the world. This world needs you. And you've been instilled with that to share. So I really encourage you all to do that. And I about Dana, I really can't. She's incredible. If you don't know the things that she's worked on, they're just absolutely outstanding. And the things that she's hosting are something really, really cool to be a part of. So thanks for having me, Dana.
Thanks, Bree, and believing in you guys. I mean, she was here. Yes, give all of the emojis, all the claps, all the virtual cheers. The screen. I'm almost out of my line. I wanted to just kind of like wrap up with this. Yes, Megan, Jessica, Miracle. I'm going to mispronounce your name. Letitia? I totally butchered your name. If you want to hyphenatically spell it out, I want to get it right. Nicole, Sarah, amazing. So a couple things before we wrap. Bree was with me when I first started my company 5 years ago. I had no clients. I didn't know what I was doing. So it's so true when she says really crinkle up all the self-doubt and throw it out. Get it out of there. I had to do this too. There's a bazillion people in the digital marketing space. If you know 3% more than somebody else, then you're on your way, right? So I want to ask you guys, I would love to know, the ladies in the group, how do you want to feel next summer? Like, where do you want to be? I'm a big believer in putting out like a word of the year. And like, I've started journaling and trying to really speak into existence the things that I want to have happen. So I'd love to know in the chat, like, how do you want to feel in June? Yep, I love it. Accomplished and successful. Beautiful. I love that. Oh, I was right. Letitia. Okay. Taking my first steps to establish my own business. Megan, that's huge. That's huge. Congratulations, Megan. That's huge. Accomplished is a big one. Yeah. Amazing. So 2022, I literally can't believe it, is literally around the corner. Ooh, and crystal clear on my ICA. That's amazing. Yeah, we're so close. I'm in the process of doing some vision boarding. If you guys are down, I might do a workshop on vision boarding for the new year. Yes, Cindy, besides not being single anymore. Snap. I love it. So 2022 is coming up. So this is the time where I think we all really strive to do more for ourselves. The new year hits. January is really powerful. And then we kind of like dwindle. In the case of 2020, COVID hit and the roaring 20s flopped. But this year was really interesting for me. In January, I felt, maybe it's because of the pandemic, I was feeling as a business owner very alone. And so I felt like I was
Mhm.
second guessing myself. I was the only person making decisions for my business. So I was like, is this the right decision? Is this not the right decision? I was questioning my marketing. I was questioning. Literally everything about what I did, I was questioning. And so I leaned into community. And so I say this, yes, Cindy, exactly. This is what this is. So this group for Missions to Movements for spring 2022 is going to be 10 to 20 female leaders in the nonprofit and for-profit sector, because there is so much collaboration and partnership and learnings that can happen from one another. I'm going to go ahead and launch the application right now. Everyone in here can apply for Missions to Movements for the mastermind. And this is what it consists of. It's 6 months of support. It starts out in January. There's 2 group coaching calls per month. And these are group coaching calls that are curated based upon your goals. So when you fill out this application form, don't even worry about how much it is right now, because I'm working on scholarships. So regardless, fill this out, put in what you want to accomplish, what your goals are. And based upon the goals and based upon who the group becomes, I'm going to go out and curate the right coaches and people to help you reach those goals, which is very different than a lot of other programs that I've been a part of. Usually, like, the whole roster of coaches is assigned before you start. And I was like, well, are those people the people that are going to help me based upon what I want? So I'll have guest coaches, 2 one-on-one calls with me. We're going to have an in-person retreat in Atlanta. I think this is literally like one of my favorite parts. The in-person retreat, you will have to cover travel and your stay, but everything else, meals, activities, all of that will be covered. And then you get access to all of my online courses, plus access to We Are for Good Pro, which is literally like the Netflix for nonprofits and professional development, but everything in there is aligned for anybody in marketing, business, team building, leadership, etc. It doesn't matter if it's nonprofit, for profit. So
I want to add
yeah,
something as you're talking about this. The importance of, especially if you're just starting out, I'm 7.5, almost 8 years into this journey. And one thing that I've learned is you can't do it alone. And if you are an entrepreneur and you are like driven, and there's a lot of times where you're like, I can do it, I can hustle, I can do all these things. And you have to change your mindset on that. You can't do it alone. So becoming part of a tribe and surrounding yourself with people and other people that have gone before you that have already done this, and having coaches and having people guide you is so crucial and important. Do not try and do it on your own, because you will just spin your wheels and get stuck. So I can't tell you guys enough how important it is to be a part of a tribe and to be a part of something that something like this.
thanks. Yeah, it's literally been a game changer. I mean, one great example, we just had a mastermind call and I was looking to hire someone, and I didn't even really know what I wanted to write in a job description. And so literally somebody was like, oh, I hired a role recently for that. I'm sending you my job description. Somebody else in the group wanted to make her first part-time hire, but she's like, I don't know how to write a contract for that. I was like, oh, I have a contract for that. I'll send you my contract. Those are things that cost hundreds of dollars.
Yep.
And so we are just sharing these resources with everybody. And then being on each other's podcasts or sharing brand like deals, that just all naturally happens. So I asked you, like, what do you want to feel? And so many of you said accomplished, successful. My big one is ease. Like, I want to feel ease in my life, right? I want to feel, yeah, oh my God, that would be like a huge one. I want to start a family. And so I need to plan for, like, what does my business look like to be able to do that? So what does life feel like? And what does it look like next year for you? And who in your thought leadership journey, another thing here is like, who are the people that are going to support you, right? And doing that. I already love, literally, between a couple of you,
I know people are connected. I'm like getting so
connecting
excited
with each other and like sharing stuff. I saw somebody said, I already emailed you, reached me at this. Like, that's the power of what these allow you to do. And you're not even seeing each other in person. So this is my mastermind group. We are a year-long mastermind, the one that I am personally in. So we've met in Nashville in May, and then we're meeting up again in person next week, actually, for our second in-person retreat. And I had a question about how long is the retreat duration. It'll be probably 2 days, so it'd be a quick trip. Ours is normally like 2 or 3 days. And so this is our group, and we are all literally we do so many different things. There's actually one woman in here who's she's specialist in matching surrogates. Someone in here is a blogger. There's another girl who's in branding. One's a photographer. One designs hats. If you can guess, it's one of the girls with the hats. I'm in the nonprofit sector. We are literally, yes, Cynthia, Dana, ease. Yes, please. Yeah. So if you are wanting ease, if you are just wanting like a community to like we vent with each other and share resources, bring in experts like Bree, this is the type of community, this is what I want it to be. So again, hit the apply button, fill it out for me. Let me know where you're at. Everyone goes through a conversation, like a 15-minute call with me, so I can just assess where you're at. What would be helpful for you? This is not a sales call. I literally want to know if it's helpful or not, and we'll talk about it. And we'll see where you end up. And if it's not mine, then I'll refer you to somebody else. Like that's the power of the communities of these women, is I hope that if not through me, then through someone else, that you can see success. So that's it. Bree.
One last thing, if you're still on here, will you drop in like your Instagram link or your LinkedIn profile? Because I want to see that we can check out you guys and just keep doing. So drop it in the chat.
That means it was a good session. I finished on my mind. Yes, drop your LinkedIn, drop your Instagram, anything that you would want us to connect with you on before. Perfect. And this will be saved, Bree, so you don't have to copy and paste them all. We can go back to this later. Beautiful. Amazing. Thank you all so much. Sarah, thank you for being here. Cindy, Ann, Megan, Terry, I can't see everybody's names. Megan, Miracle, Ann. Amazing. Beautiful, Bree. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course. And if you didn't make it and you're watching the replay, thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye. Good night.